Hi, I'm Nauraj Singh, Malaysia's national high jump athlete. I hold a personal best of 2 meters 30, and for those of you who are wondering how high 2 meters 30 is, it is just 15 centimeters short of a football goalpost. So that still is pretty high. I'm going to dive into a topic that is close to heart today, and that topic's called manifesting dreams, because a huge part of where I've come to today started off with me just having a dream one day as a child. And for as long as I could remember, it had always been my childhood goal or my childhood dream of wanting to be an Olympian. And I had the privilege and both the honor of representing Malaysia at the 2016 Rio Olympic Games. So I'm going to share some of my personal experiences along my journey, because I feel that we hear a lot about the success stories, about the wins, and we read and see about the glory and the medals of athletes, but we hear or we know very little to none of the journey that got them to those glorious moments, the challenges or the obstacles, or also the sacrifices that they have made in order for them to achieve what they have. And I think it is very important for us all to also listen to all these different journeys along the way that got people to their successes, because that one thing that I can say is that that journey is never an easy one. Personally, I'm going to share my experiences. So in 2016, walking into an Olympic year, I had a huge budget cut because I was not identified as one of those athletes who would qualify to the Olympic Games. And this was because walking into 2016, I had only a personal best of 2 meters 22 in 2015, and I needed to improve by 7 centimeters to make it to the Olympic Games. And in high jump, 7 centimeters is a lot. So because of that, that situation kind of put me into an underdog position. It was good and it was also not so good. The good part of it was there was no pressure of expectation. It was just me and my dream of wanting to achieve it. That was the good part. But the sad part was that I didn't get the financial funding that I needed. As we all know, sports is actually an investment. You got to invest to gain results. And this was the first big challenge that I faced. Moving on to the next challenge was coming towards the end of 2015. My coach at that time was Alim Akhmenajov from Uzbekistan. I have trained with him since 2008 for 8 full years. And at that point, he had come towards the end of his contract, and he also was having some health issues, some health problems. So being a 67-year-old man, he had decided to move back to his home country to be with his wife, to be with his family. And that was very well understood. But the situation left me to train on an Olympic year without a coach. So that was added on a second obstacle in my way. Throughout my journey, throughout any athlete's journey, athletes face a lot of injuries. And part of that is accepted as part of being an athlete. But I had some unfortunate injuries that had put me 3 times in the operation theater of the hospital. And the only thing that they all share in common is that the operation theater is very cold. Nevertheless, my first surgery was an ankle reconstruction of all the ligaments and tendons. I had a bad ankle sprain in training, and the sad part about it was this happened when I was only 18 years old. I was still a kid back then. My personal best was only 2 meters 13. And I had the surgeon say straight to me, "Alright, you may never jump again in your life." This was very hurtful and painful for me to take, also as a young athlete then. But it's today accepted as the challenge, as the obstacle that I have faced and overcome throughout my career. My second surgery was an elbow surgery, which also was not pleasant because it put me 6 months out of the sport, out of competitive sport. And 6 months is a long time in competitive sport. You tend to lose out on a lot, especially physically and competitively. These were the challenges that I have faced throughout my journey. But coming to that to say, I had one goal and one dream, which took a span of 15 years to achieve. A lot of us expect results right away and straight away, but it's always a long game. It has to always be a long game with incremental improvements bit by bit. Everything is not going to always go as planned, and this is something we all need to always remind ourselves. What it has taken is approximately 1,000 jumps I have made, right? In all my training routines, I've made approximately 1 million jumps. And I don't know if any of you are active in sports or basketball or any jumping events. Taking on a course and a volume of loading into your joints, into your ankles, into your muscles and bones, they can be very achy. What it also took approximately 1 million kilograms I have lifted in the gym. And this kind of load can be very, very, very heavy on the physical body. I mean, there's so many days that I wake up in the morning. The first thing I get out of bed is I have a sore back. The first few steps I take out of bed, it's walking as though I'm tiptoeing, trying to sneak and steal cookies from the kitchen while my mom is asleep, because that's how I look. It is so impactful on all the joints of the body, but that's what it took. Over the span of that 15 years, I have entered in over 100 competitions, and I competed all around the world in all sorts of events. And here's the interesting part. I have, out of those 100, let's put the number at 100. Out of that 100 competitions, I have won maybe 15. In life, we are definitely going to lose a lot more than we're going to win. But despite now me sharing all these challenges, all these obstacles that we athletes face, we have adapted into a way that has helped us overcome all of this. And a huge part of that to me was having an abundant mindset. Right? To me, having an abundant mindset is by simply looking for the good in every situation, for choosing to stay positive even when you are in a negative situation. Throughout my injuries, right? That was when I could practice them very well. An abundant mindset to me is also adopting the mentality of an example situation of when you plant a seed, you water it, you nurture it, and you take care of it daily, year by year, until a time comes 10 years down the road, it grows into a beautiful tree which then gives you fruits. This is the best metaphor that I like to use when coming to trying to explain an abundant mindset. Another thing that helped me through it all was I always had a deep belief in myself. I love quotes a lot, and I love how Rocky Balboa has put his famous quote: "It ain't about how hard you hit, but it's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward," because that's how winning is done. And this unwavering belief in myself had to come deep from me, that despite me being an underdog, me having need to improve 7 centimeters, I knew that only I could do that, and I knew that only if I believed in it, it would happen. So I had that deep and true belief in myself. And another key that helped me in my way was I had the support that mattered. I handpicked only a handful of people to be in that circle of my life during that time. It was also to avoid distractions or to avoid being hurt by any other party. Because to me, it was a sacrifice, a short-term sacrifice for a long-term dream. And that sounded fair, very fair to me. So I had great support from my family, my parents, from my coach, and from my sports psychologist at that time. And we worked very closely together. You could think of it as a bubble that you fit for yourself, and these people are the one who is holding that circle around it, with you sitting in the middle of it. And that's all that mattered. Everything else that played on outside of it, I paid no attention, I gave no energy or time to it. And that helped me. It helped me achieve the dream and achieve the goal that I have achieved in my sporting career. And this is where I come to the end of my sharing for now. I hope this information is interesting to you guys, and the best take-home message I can give you is to not only expect obstacles to be present, but to actually embrace them, to be there, for being there. Because whether you like it or not, obstacles are gonna be there, and that's how we live through.